On the day my husband reunited with his biological father from a wealthy family, I gave birth to our daughter. Fearing his humble past might be looked down upon by the wealthy family, he proposed a secret marriage. For 5 years, he never allowed our daughter to call him dad. Later, I accidentally overheard his conversation with a close friend. Now I have a family background that matches Alexis's. After 5 years, I've finally waited for her to become single again. But you already have a wife and children. Lily Hayes will understand me. She's been with me all these years, and I've never mistreated her or our child, nor will I ever in the future. I stood there in stunned silence, finally resolving to take my daughter and leave forever. The usually calm and composed man seemed to have lost control as he searched for us. But this time, my daughter, and I won't look back, my daughter had a fever, so I took her to the hospital. Coming out of the consultation room, I ran into Trevor and Alexis Warren. My daughter, who had been listlessly hanging her head, suddenly had a sparkle in her eyes. "Daddy." Trevor paused mid-step and looked over with an icy expression. "Uncle." My daughter immediately corrected herself, burying her little face in my arms. In the past, whenever his daughter called him dad, he would look at her with such icy coldness in his eyes. When she was very young, she would cry her heart out in grievance. Trevor would then make her stand in punishment and banish her from the house to reflect on her actions, so much so that later, Trevor only needed to give her a look, and she would know she had done wrong again. "Lily, why are you in the hospital?" He addressed me with polite detachment. As if reminding me that we weren't husband and wife in front of outsiders, he had clearly told me he was on a business trip abroad and wouldn't return for 2 more days. Yet here he suddenly appeared with another woman. Suppressing the questions and bitterness in my heart, I responded with equal detachment, calling him Mr. Lou. "My daughter has a fever. I brought her to the hospital." The daughter coughed twice in discomfort. Trevor Knight showed a trace of nervousness in his eyes. Then he responded with a soft hum and gently said to the woman beside him, "Lily is our family's nanny." Alexis covered her nose and frowned. "If you're sick, don't cough at people. My daughter got infected by unhygienic kids like you." When she raised her head, the sapphire teardrop necklace at her collar stung my eyes. This was Trevor's recent purchase at a European auction for 100 million, which I'd seen in the news. Trevor put his arm around Alexis and left. I smiled self-deprecatingly. In the infusion room, my daughter remained quiet until the nurse inserted the needle, silently shedding tears when it hurt. After the nurse left, my daughter spoke up. "Mom, is that the aunt Dad likes?" Tears welled up in my eyes instantly. This child was only 5 years old, yet she had to witness the complicated world of adults. I didn't know how to answer her, but I could only nod. "Chichi, how about Mommy takes you to live somewhere else?" My daughter stiffened slightly and asked in a quiet voice, "Is there no daddy in that place?" My throat tightened. She fell silent for a moment, her expression resolute. "Wherever Mommy goes, Chichi goes too. Chichi and Mommy will always be together." I held back the urge to cry and hugged my daughter. Trevor found his way to the infusion room. He placed his hand on our daughter's forehead to check her temperature, his previously indifferent expression softening. "Chichi is a strong girl, not afraid of being sick. I brought you a gift." He pulled out an exquisite pink hair clip from his pocket and placed it in his daughter's palm. The daughter excitedly held the hair clip. "It's so beautiful. Thank you, Uncle." Trevor turned to explain to me, "Knight family and the Warren family have business dealings. Her daughter is hospitalized, so it's only right for me to visit. Don't overthink it." I remained silent without responding, and he hurriedly left after saying, "I'll come see you again tomorrow." My daughter tugged at my hand, unable to conceal the joy in her eyes. "Uncle gave me a gift. Does that mean he likes me?" Clutching the hairpin tightly in one hand, she raised a finger with the other and cautiously said, "Mom, can we give Uncle another chance?" As if afraid I'd object, she quickly added, "Next week is the kindergarten sports day. If Uncle beats Luhau's dad, we'll forgive him." After a moment's thought, she shook her head and said, "No, Luhau is so strong. Uncle can't beat his dad." The little one frowned, trying to find an excuse for Trevor, and finally said, "If Uncle comes to the sports day, we'll forgive him." I looked at her silently. My heart filled with bitterness, and finally nodded. "Okay, Trevor, this last chance was given to you by my daughter. The next day, Trevor, who had promised to come, didn't show up. My daughter sat on the couch facing the front door all day, looking at the closed door with hopeful eyes. I messaged Trevor on WeChat, asking if he would attend the parent-child sports day at the kindergarten next week. But then I saw photos of Alexis's daughter Angela on his social media. Angela sat on the hospital bed, her face glowing with health and a bright smile. The sofa and table in the VIP ward were piled high with various gifts, princess dresses, dolls, among which there were many luxury items. Caption: "Get well soon, little princess. Daddy Lou has more gifts for you." Alexis was Trevor's high school belle, the wealthy heiress of a well-off family with substantial means. Back in school, she was a prominent figure, secretly admired by many boys, including Trevor. At that time, Trevor knew Alexis. But Alexis didn't recognize the obscure Trevor. 5 years ago, Trevor unexpectedly reunited with his biological parents from a wealthy family, which completely transformed his life. This allowed him to enter high society and establish contact with Alexis. Half a year ago, Alexis divorced her ex-husband and has been raising her daughter alone ever since. It was also from that time onwards that Trevor, who used to occasionally come home, started visiting even less frequently. I asked him several times to publicly acknowledge our relationship as mother and daughter, but he sternly refused each time with various excuses. Over the course of 5 years, my feelings were gradually worn away. The last bit of fantasy I had about him completely vanished after overhearing his conversation with a friend. Because his current status as a wealthy individual involves substantial assets, I've been consulting with a lawyer these past few days. The divorce agreement drafted by the lawyer was sent to my phone yesterday. Just as my heart grew cold and I was about to forward the divorce agreement to Trevor, he replied, "Okay, I'll come back to pick you up then." It was somewhat unexpected, and there was even a hint of pleasant surprise. I quickly shared the news with my daughter. The daughter froze for a moment, then beamed with joy and bounced up excitedly from the sofa. Throughout the 3 years of her daughter attending kindergarten, whether it was parent-teacher meetings or other events, Trevor never attended. This was the first time he agreed to participate in an activity at his daughter's kindergarten. The daughter picked her favorite tracksuit and even asked me to help clean her shoes. "It has to be very clean, pure white," she said, clapping her little hands. On the day of the sports meet, we were all ready and waiting at home for Trevor to pick us up. As the clock on the wall ticked away minute by minute, there was still no sign of Trevor. My daughter's expression shifted from initial nervous excitement to restless unease, and finally to barely holding back tears at this moment. I crouched down and whispered softly to her, "Shall we go?" My daughter pressed her lips together and walked quietly toward the door, though tears still slipped down her cheeks. I picked her up, gently wiping the tears from her face with my fingers. The daughter is not Trevor's treasure, but she is my favorite, my everything. My daughter and I arrived at the kindergarten, only to unexpectedly see Trevor. My daughter didn't notice Trevor or Alexis standing not far behind him. She let go of my hand and joyfully ran over, grabbing Trevor. "Daddy, I knew you would come." But the next second, Trevor flung her hand away in panic. This time, it wasn't just his familiar cold expression. There was also a hint of panic and anger. "What did you call me? Take your hand off." The little girl's expression froze, and she pouted as she withdrew her hand. "Hello, Uncle." Trevor looked up at me with a glare, lowering his voice. "Who told you to bring her here? Isn't kindergarten in session? Take her away now." He actually forgot this was his daughter's kindergarten. Alexis turned around just then and asked in surprise, "Isn't this your housekeeper's child?" I pulled my daughter behind me. "What a coincidence. Mr. Lou, you're here too. My daughter attends this kindergarten." Trevor froze for a moment, then looked at me and my daughter guiltily. Alexis narrowed her eyes slightly. "Did the child's father not come?" "She doesn't have a father," I answered without thinking. Hearing this, Trevor widened his eyes and opened his mouth to say something, but Angela suddenly rushed over. She gave her daughter a push, planted her hands on her hips, and said fiercely, "You fatherless wild child. Don't you dare take my night, Daddy." Trevor instinctively moved to help his daughter, but I had already steadied her and shielded her behind me. His hand froze mid-air as he stiffly spoke. Kids say things without thinking. What's there to apologize for a nanny's child? Alexis interrupted him. Linking arms with him, I unconsciously tightened my grip on my daughter's hand. The school broadcast announced the sound of lining up for assembly. My daughter shook my hand, her eyes slightly red. Mom. It's time to gather. Goodbye, Uncle. For a moment, something stuck in my throat, and I managed a difficult millimeter. As I turned to leave, I didn't see Trevor's startled expression. On the playground, the children and parents were all eager and ready. The first event was you throw, I catch. I aimed at the round basket held by my daughter across from me, tossing one after another steadily into it, smoothly scoring full marks. In the following events, my daughter and I worked in perfect harmony, emerging victorious each time. Trevor seemed to be doing quite well on their side too. I tried not to pay attention, but I couldn't help hearing the excited cheers from the three of them. I could also hear the quiet murmurs of the surrounding parents. That guy is so handsome, and he dotes on his wife. He just tied her shoelaces for her. He also speaks to his wife so gently. It's really enviable. That's my husband, Chichi's father, yet at this very moment, he's playing the role of someone else's husband and father at our daughter's school. I turned my head away, trying my best to ignore the suffocating feeling in my chest. My daughter and I performed exceptionally well today, completing every event with outstanding results. In the second-to-last event, the piggy carry competition, I pulled the hemp rope too hard and scraped the skin off my hand, drawing a little blood, but seeing how happy my daughter looked after winning made it all worth it. And I quickly forgot about the unhappiness caused by Trevor. During a break in the competition, I went to wash the dirt and blood off my hands at the water basin. Trevor walked over with a band-aid in his hand. How did you get hurt? It's just a sports day. You don't need to push yourself so hard. As he spoke, he handed the band-aid over. I didn't take it, so he placed it on the sink counter. Then he bent down to wipe the fine sweat from our daughter's forehead, his tone gentle. Kiki did so well today. Be careful not to catch a cold with all that sweat. A sparkle appeared in the daughter's eyes as the corners of her mouth lifted. Did I really do well? In memory, Trevor rarely praised his daughter. Most of the time, his face remained cold and expressionless, watching the joy in my daughter's eyes. A mix of emotions stirred within me, tenderness and reluctance spreading through my conflicted heart. Yet the next moment, Trevor spoke up. For the last project, don't push yourselves so hard. Angela is highly competitive and insists on taking first place. Just aim for second. Instantly, my heart plunged back into an icy abyss. My daughter's upturned lips straightened into a flat line. Indeed, his heart never once thought of drawing closer to me and our daughter. The broadcast announced the next competition was about to begin. Trevor smiled and patted our daughter's head, trying once more to persuade us. If Chichi gets second place, Daddy will give you a reward. How about going to the amusement park? Tomorrow's the weekend. Okay, Uncle, our daughter said obediently, her eyes red. Trevor's hand paused slightly, as if he wanted to say something more, but Alexis called out to him from behind. He immediately jogged over. Alexis chided him. You went to wash your hands and ended up chatting with the nanny. I don't like that nanny. Fire her. All right, as you wish. He didn't need to fire me. Today was the last time he'd see me and our daughter. My daughter tugged at my sleeve. Mom, I don't want to compete anymore. I don't want you to get hurt. Does Chichi not want to win first place anymore? There was a resolute look in my daughter's eyes as she said, I don't want it anymore. She doesn't want her father anymore, and I don't want a husband anymore either. After completing the withdrawal procedures for my daughter at the school's administration office, we left the school. At home, I packed our belongings while my daughter quietly gathered her beloved toys and trinkets. Evening, Trevor didn't come home as usual. He didn't show up the next morning either. The flight was at 12:30 p.m. I placed the divorce papers on the coffee table. My daughter walked up to me, took off the hair clip from her hair, silently looked at it for 2 seconds, then placed it on the coffee table as well. We went to the airport. More than an hour later, the plane landed. I turned on my phone and immediately saw dozens of missed calls, all from Trevor. In the final competition, Trevor didn't see me or my daughter. He and Angela completed the competition perfectly, but for some reason, he felt an inexplicable emptiness inside. He just told my daughter and me not to be so competitive, not to give up the competition, but now we can't even see him anymore. But this time, my daughter and I behaved well and listened to him. He decided to celebrate with Alexis and her mother after the sports meet awards, then come home to spend quality time with us. At this thought, Trevor's lips curled into a faint smile, but then a conversation nearby caught his attention. Lou How proudly held the second-place stationery gift pack prize and asked his homeroom teacher, "Teacher, where's Chichi? I want to tell her I got second place." The teacher bent down and replied with a smile, "Didn't Chichi say goodbye to you? She dropped out of school and won't be coming back anymore." Lou How froze for a moment, unable to accept the reality, and burst into loud sobs. "Why isn't she coming anymore? I promise I'll never bully her again. Teacher, I don't want her to leave." Trevor's smile froze on his face. "Trevor, it's time to go. Where should we go to celebrate later?" Alexis urged, but Trevor seemed completely frozen, standing rigidly without any reaction. He recalled my expression of utter despair just now, and his daughter's stunned gaze, when suddenly a wave of panic surged within him. Without bothering to acknowledge Alexis, he quickly walked over to the homeroom teacher and asked, "Is what you said true? Why would Chi drop out of school?" The homeroom teacher was taken aback, not understanding why this parent was showing such a shocked and stunned expression over another child's decision to leave school. Chi's mom said they're moving to another city as a family, which is why they went through the withdrawal procedures for Chi. That's impossible. Why would they suddenly move to another city for no reason? You must have gotten it wrong. In a panic, he grabbed his phone to call me. But seeing the utility bill payment deduction notification from home instantly steadied his mind. After having the baby, I quit my job to focus on being a homemaker. With no income of my own, I relied entirely on him for support. Besides, I loved him so much, there was absolutely no way I would leave. The teacher must have misheard. It was because my daughter and Angela attended the same school, and I was afraid Alexis would discover he had a commoner wife. That's why I rushed to withdraw my daughter from school. At this thought, Trevor even felt a warmth in his heart. Because of this, he became even more eager to return home to find us. Just then, Angela excitedly threw herself at him. "Night, Dad, I want to eat something delicious." Looking up and meeting Alexis' gaze, he could only temporarily suppress his desire to see us, taking the mother and daughter to a steakhouse. The steakhouse had a buffet area. Angela clamored for fries. So Trevor went to get some. Angela took just one bite before spitting it out. "This is disgusting. These aren't fries at all." Angela's loud voice drew sideways glances from nearby customers. Trevor and Alexis hurried to comfort her. It turned out she was complaining the fries were too soggy and not crispy enough. Alexis immediately called the waiter. "What's wrong with your chef? The fries are so soggy. How is my daughter supposed to eat them?" "Sorry, that's just how these fries are. Maybe you'd like to try something else. Our mashed potatoes are very popular with customers. Tell your chef to make a new batch of fries for my daughter. Also, with all these noisy kids running around, the dining environment here is terrible. Can you please tell those children to stop running around? They have no manners at all." Alexis crossed her arms and spoke with her chin held high. Angela rolled her eyes at the waiter, the mother and daughter's arrogant expressions strikingly similar. More people around them began to notice, casting strange glances their way. Trevor suddenly thought, if he had brought Chichi here, she would have happily carried a plate to the buffet area to pick her food. She would have been content, never picky about food, and would have even asked what he wanted to eat. Dutifully pouring juice for him, he thought, "Tomorrow we'll go to the amusement park, and he'll take me and Chichi for steak. We're going to have such a great time." The waiter said the restaurant doesn't serve fries as a separate order. Alexis was still arguing with the waiter. "I dine at Michelin-starred restaurants all the time. If it weren't for the kids liking it, I wouldn't even step foot in this dump of a restaurant." At this moment, Trevor suddenly realized that beneath Alexis' luxury brand outfits and polished appearance, which showcased the aloof demeanor of the wealthy, lay a complete lack of manners. He was about to dissuade them. Alexis suddenly threw down the napkin and stood up abruptly. Let's go somewhere else. This kind of restaurant is simply unbearable." With that, he took Angela by the hand and walked out. Their steaks had just been served and hadn't even been touched yet. Trevor could only hurriedly settle the bill and chase after her. They chose another hot pot restaurant because Angela took a liking to the hairband the staff at the entrance gave her. The hot pot restaurant had a service where they sang birthday songs for celebrants. Angela once again displayed her spoiled nature by rushing over to interrupt the staff who were about to dance, insisting they come and dance for her first to celebrate her winning first place in the sports competition. "How much do you want?" "My mom will pay. You have to celebrate for me first." Angela stepped forward and blew out the birthday candles of the little birthday boy. The child couldn't bear such treatment and started crying in grievance. It was a mother and son pair. The woman, being relatively composed, didn't lose her temper but instead calmly reasoned with them, hoping Angela would apologize. Alexis refused to listen at all, shielding her daughter. "It's just a cake. We'll pay whatever it costs. This isn't about the money. I want you to apologize to my son. Aren't you just trying to extort money? Name your price, Trevor. Book this hot pot restaurant for a private event. Have these people leave. We can't let them ruin Angela's mood." Before this incident, Trevor had always thought Alexis's personality was simply the expected temperament of a wealthy heiress, something that set her apart from ordinary people. Suddenly, he felt extremely uncomfortable psychologically, and he thought of me. "I would never treat anyone with such arrogance. I am gentle and courteous, and our daughter, I've raised Chichi well. She doesn't throw tantrums without reason. If today were about celebrating with me and Chichi, even if the child acted unreasonably, I would patiently guide and educate her, instead of being like Alexis, who not only allows the child to act up but also indulges them unconditionally." Thinking of this, Trevor's gaze gradually turned cold. As he turned his head, he saw President Yoon emerging from the restroom. President Yoon is the CEO of Yoonmaro Group's Greater China region. Recently, Trevor has been competing with him for a major collaborative project. Yoon frowned and approached. "Who dares to bully my son?" The boy cried even harder upon seeing his father, running over and sobbing. "Daddy, my cake is ruined. Woo-woo tilde." Yoon's sharp gaze swept over. "Night, what a coincidence." Trevor turned pale, never expecting that Alexis and her daughter would offend the wife and child of President Yoon. This was a massive blunder on his part. Alexis, however, still seemed oblivious to the situation. "If you know them, that's even better. Your son has now upset our little princess." President Yoon unceremoniously kicked aside a chair by his feet, the scraping sound against the floor piercingly loud. "Who allowed you to speak, Trevor? I only address you as knight out of respect for your father. Now your woman dares to bully my son." Trevor was already an outsider with 4 siblings and no emotional ties to his stepmother, leaving him isolated within the family. Work performance was practically his only chance to earn his biological father's recognition. Trevor took a deep breath and quickly apologized. "I'm sorry, my friend spoils her daughter too much. I'll have her apologize to you, your wife, and your child right away, Mr." Yoon remained silent, showing no appreciation. Alexis seemed to understand the disparity in status at this point, but having grown up being the center of attention, she was merely a pampered socialite and wealthy housewife who only knew how to spend money and enjoy life. It's impossible for her to lower herself and apologize in front of so many people. Not only is she skilled at bossing people around, but playing the victim and acting pitiful are also her usual tactics. Her eyes immediately reddened, with aggrieved tears welling up. But our Angela just wanted to watch the dance. Madame Yoon wasn't the type to nitpick, seeing that the two parties knew each other. Alexis was there shedding tears, her expression softened as she bent down to coax her son. "Today is our baby's birthday. We should be happy, right? After blowing out the candles, we have an even bigger cake for the evening party, and all your kindergarten classmates will come to celebrate with you." The little boy was very sensible and was quickly comforted by Mrs. Yoon. Watching Mrs. Yoon's gentle and understanding demeanor, Trevor found his thoughts drifting away again. 10 years ago, during freshman military training, The camouflage uniforms issued by the school were discarded like trash by the students after just 1 month of wear. Trevor was still quite poor at the time. Feeling it was a shame to waste so many camouflage uniforms and shoes, he asked his roommate for the clothes, planning to take them home during the holidays for relatives and neighbors to wear while working in the fields. When I learned about this, I specifically gathered some women's camouflage uniforms and sent them over. Trevor was grateful, but at the same time, he felt a sense of shame. Later, whenever he saw me on campus, he would instinctively avoid me, yet I always greeted him openly and without hesitation. After that, whether it was in shared classes with their group or at various events, not only did I not show any awkwardness, but our interactions became increasingly natural. After developing secret feelings, Trevor never dared to confess, so it was I who spoke up to him first, openly and without reservation. We dated for 3 years in college, and after graduation, we both smoothly found jobs. My parents were once strongly opposed to us being together, but my heart remained steadfastly committed to him. He remembered what I had said at the time, that he was an incredibly hardworking and resilient person, qualities no amount of money could ever match. We lived together in a rented apartment, commuted on crowded buses from 9 to 5, and always picked the cheapest vegetables and fruits. He made up his mind to treat this woman exceptionally well for the rest of his life. Later, Trevor was recognized by his wealthy biological father. At an industry gathering, he met Alexis, and everything began to change. He hid his wife and children away. Although he provided us with abundant material comforts, he began to grow increasingly distant from us. His life became complicated. And so did his heart. He felt that we were not from the same world as him, that he could, and indeed deserved, something better. The goddess he could only admire from afar in high school became his friend. His life was different now. Looking at the woman he once worshipped as a goddess before him, he noticed her face twisting and distorting. Her image in his mind began to crumble. His admiration for Alexis faded away. The only one he truly loved was his lawfully wedded wife. It was true in the past, remains so now, and always will be. At this thought, Trevor couldn't wait to rush home immediately. While Alexis pouted, visibly displeased, "I told you we shouldn't just settle for any random restaurant. I'll call the butler right now to throw Angela a celebration party." The party was held at Warren's family villa. Thinking it was a good opportunity to get closer to the Warren family elders and also network with some wealthy social circles, Trevor and Alexis went to the Warren family villa. The party was announced last minute, and the whole family was bustling with activity to prepare. After a night of revelry, Trevor naturally stayed overnight at the Warren residence. The next day, he slept until the sun was high in the sky. At 11 a.m., he received a call from his assistant informing him that the Yunmaro group had terminated negotiations for the collaborative project, awarding it to their competitor instead. Trevor almost sprang out of bed and hurriedly dialed Mr. Yun's number. In business, what I value is not just commercial interests, but also the character of the other party. Mr. Yun, are you referring to the incident where my friend offended your wife yesterday? I will definitely take my friend to apologize in person. As for this collaboration, Mr. Yun interrupted Trevor, if I recall correctly, a month ago when I saw you on the street, the mother and daughter standing next to you were not the same two people as yesterday. Mr. Knight, as Yun, I have no right to interfere in your private life, but forgive me for being blunt. The woman from yesterday is completely incomparable to Miss Lily. I believe you must be aware of this yourself. Part of the reason I was willing to discuss this project with you before was also out of consideration for Miss Lily. Coincidentally, a month ago when I was out with Trevor, we happened to run into Mr. Yoon. That day, Mr. Yoon happened to be on the road making an overseas call about a very tricky matter. The other party was speaking German, but Mr. Yoon wasn't very fluent in the language. So I stepped in to help. Before returning to the family, I was a middle school English teacher. Trevor, after joining his biological parents' family business, many operations involved overseas dealings, and documents were often in English. For this reason, I took on the role of Trevor's translator, helping him review materials and respond to emails, doing my utmost to support him in his work. seeing that their company had business dealings with firms in many European countries. I also taught myself French and German. Although I resigned from my job, I didn't feel any less busy than when I was working. Since the matter was quite urgent, I ended up doing General Manager Yoon a huge favor that day. At this point, the conversation was already very clear. After hanging up the phone, Alexis wrapped her arms around Trevor from behind. Wearing a sexy nightgown, Trevor shivered inexplicably and turned around. "Do you speak German?" Alexis said with a delicate smile. "How could I know German? I studied in the UK before." "What about French?" Alexis shook her head. "My parents forced me to learn it when I was a child, but I was too lazy to study, for some reason." Upon hearing Alexis's reply, Trevor felt a strong urge to lose his temper, but due to his position, he forcibly suppressed his emotions. He released her hands from around his waist and left in a hurry without even eating lunch. He wanted to go home to find me, thinking that if I stepped in to talk to President Yoon, maybe there was still hope for that project. But when he opened the door, the house was empty, and calling me only got a message that my phone was turned off. His gaze swept past the coffee table in the center of the living room, and he walked closer. The document was clearly labeled with the bold words "divorce agreement," and atop this agreement lay a quiet pink hairpin. Trevor suddenly staggered, grabbing the agreement as if possessed. When he saw my signature on the last page, it was as if the air had been sucked out of the room. He could barely breathe. He had never imagined that one day I would ask for a divorce. After all, I loved him so much. Back when he was poor, I never once thought of looking down on him and was willing to share both joy and hardship with him. We walked from the university campus to the marriage altar, and we even have such a lovely daughter. Men, especially those with wealth and power, which one of them can stay devoted to just one woman for a lifetime? He thought I would understand him. He also assumed that when I discovered the truth, I would silently endure it. But what exactly went wrong now? Why did I bring up divorce with him? Trevor couldn't believe it, frantically calling my phone, only to hear the mechanical tone indicating my phone was powered off. He stumbled into the bedroom, the children's room. He occasionally came back to this home, but in truth he had long been unfamiliar with it. Yet seeing the empty wardrobe, he completely panicked. Forcing himself to take a deep breath, he tried to recall what this home used to look like. He stepped into the children's room again. Barbie dolls, children's picture books, most of the kids' belongings were still there. But where was the little backpack? The backpack is gone, probably because my daughter took it out to play. There are still many clothes in the wardrobe. Pick one up. So small. These are my daughter's clothes from when she was little, too small to wear now. This is a blue princess dress. A vision of his daughter's smiling face seemed to appear before him, dressed in a fluffy princess dress. Bouncing cheerfully towards him. "Daddy, do I look pretty?" And how had he responded to her? He ignored her, and only after she asked again did he reply irritably, "Go play with your mom." At this thought, Trevor felt as if he had been struck hard by a blunt blow to the heart. The phone vibrated abruptly. It was a message I sent him. "I've consulted a lawyer. The divorce terms comply with legal requirements. Contact me after you've signed them, and we'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the procedures." He frantically called me, but the call was hung up. Left with no choice, he sent a message, only to receive this reply from me: "Unless it's about the divorce, we have nothing else to discuss." After that, no matter what messages he sent, they all went unanswered, like stones sinking into the sea. With no response from me, I took my daughter back to my hometown, a small third-tier city. Since childhood, relatives and friends around me have praised me as a well-behaved child, but only my parents knew that I was also stubborn, and once I set my mind on something, I would pursue it without hesitation. In Trevor's case, I was the same, and now I find myself bruised and full of regret. When they saw me return with my daughter, they didn't say anything, just picked up Chichi with loving and joyful smiles on their faces. After a while of lively chatter, my daughter was pulled away to play by the neighbor's kids. My mother asked about my plans, and I said I wanted to look for a job again. If teaching positions were hard to find, I could always work at a tutoring center. My father nodded. "That's good too. With us by your side, you and Chichi won't go hungry." Just as I was saying this, an unknown number called, and I didn't expect it to be Alexis. Her tone was quite arrogant. "It was you, wasn't it?" I was confused. "What? You thought this would drag me down and make Trevor change his mind, but you miscalculated. He slept with me last night. You commoners have such narrow perspectives. I could easily spend a bit of money to remove the trending topic, but I won't. I'll let it ferment. Take a good look. In the end, netizens will only fervently support me and Trevor." Alexis's call came out of nowhere. After hanging up, I opened the social media app. Turns out, Trevor and Alexis' mother and daughter briefly made it to the trending list. Yesterday Alexis and her mother caused another scene at a hot pot restaurant after their outburst at a steakhouse, with both establishments located in the same large shopping complex. A netizen who saw them leaving the steakhouse and then causing trouble at the hot pot restaurant filmed a video and posted it online. Online criticism has been unanimous against this unreasonable family of three, with people saying they wreaked havoc in one restaurant before moving on to disrupt another. Comments overwhelmingly condemn the family's low standards of behavior, stating that the adults are failing and the child they're raising is no better. It was revealed that the man in the family of three was Night Group's long-lost son, who had been found and brought back a few years ago. The gossip quickly shifted its focus to the Night family. Now that they're rich, they think they can throw their weight around. This is the confidence the Night family has given him. Just watch. The video will be taken down soon. This woman studied in the UK before. We were at the same school. She killed someone while drunk driving and was later expelled. Truly, rotten fish seeks out spoiled shrimp. I glanced casually and didn't pay further attention. But unexpectedly that very night, Trevor showed up at my door, covered in dust and travel fatigue. His face was full of exhaustion, his clothes wrinkled and disheveled. After 2 days apart, his mental state was drastically different, yet he remained as handsome as ever. During the freshman year military training, our squad was standing at attention under the shade of trees. Trevor's team happened to be dismissed, and he took off his camouflage jacket. I was instantly captivated by his toned forearms and chest contours, as well as his face. That was when I realized I was purely a visual creature. I was deeply drawn to him, and from then on, during every training session, my eyes would search for his figure. A maiden's heart, once captured, remains so for 9 long years. With a self-deprecating chuckle, I took a step forward. The father who emerged from inside picked up a broom to shoo me away, but I stopped him. Things needed to be clarified. Having decided to give up, I no longer wished to have any entanglement with him. Trevor's voice was slightly hoarse. "Are you upset that I've refused to publicly acknowledge you and our daughter, my love? I'll take you to meet my biological parents right now." I smiled faintly. "Trevor, I overheard what you told your friends before your business trip to Europe. You're keeping our marriage secret only for Alexis' sake. Did you really think you could keep hiding this from me?" Trevor's expression showed only slight surprise. Perhaps he'd always known he hadn't made particular efforts to conceal his closeness with Alexis around me. "Lily, there's nothing between Alexis and me. Our families are business partners, and she's a single mother. I just helped her out more. Don't overthink it." Same old rhetoric. I saw it coming and remained calm. "You slept together last night, committing marital infidelity. Honestly, I was too lenient asking for only half your assets." This time, Trevor's pupils suddenly contracted. His composure shattered. "Listen to me. Last night was just a moment of weakness. Just this once. It was only this one time with her." He grabbed my hand, pleading urgently. "I was wrong. That's why I'm here to apologize now. Honey, please forgive me." I pulled my hand away in disgust. "I gave you chances. Our daughter gave you chances. But not only did you forget your promise to attend her school sports day, you couldn't even remember which kindergarten she goes to. Trevor, you're already tainted." Like a heavy hammer falling from the sky, Trevor froze in place. A flood of past thoughts rushed in. His neglect, his indifference, his betrayal. His daughter, unaware of when she had woken up, walked over clutching her teddy bear. Trevor's dim eyes flickered with light as he urgently called out, "Chichi, Daddy's here to take you and Mommy home." But my daughter remained unmoved, instead tightly holding my hand. "I don't want to. This is where Mom and I belong." this time. Trevor's hope completely shattered in his eyes. The phone rang at an inopportune moment. Trevor glanced at it and answered with a complicated expression. The person on the other end was furious, their voice piercing through the receiver. "Trevor, what have you done? Why are the trending topics multiplying instead of decreasing? Of all women, you had to go for Alexis, that second-hand goods." I couldn't recognize the voice, but I could roughly guess it was Trevor's biological father. Knight Sr. had the imposing manner of a patriarch, always speaking in this lecturing tone. Trevor listened respectfully to his biological father's scolding, then hung up and hurriedly contacted Alexis. The first to speak was on the other end. "Trevor, I was just about to call you. Post a statement online. I've sent you the template. Just follow it word for word, and it'll definitely help you craft the persona of a domineering CEO who's obsessed with doting on his wife." Netizens love gossip and shipping couples. Once public opinion shifts, it'll be all about our CP fans, and no one will even care about that mess at the restaurant anymore. They'll just see you as a cold-faced, overbearing CEO who spoils and adores me. Trevor was furious. "Get lost. Are you out of your mind? Why are you yelling at me?" I had no intention of listening further. Taking advantage of his distraction, I gave him a gentle push and shut him outside the door. Later, Trevor signed the divorce papers, and I received half of his assets along with custody of our daughter. Trevor has the right to visit our daughter twice a month. I found a job as an English tutor at a cram school. The schedule is relatively flexible, making it easier for me to take care of my daughter. Trevor, when he came to visit his daughter, I learned that his original position at the group's headquarters had been revoked. His biological father's family had sidelined him, transferring him to a small company in another location. Meanwhile, Alexis became the subject of heated online discussions. Her actions were magnified by netizens, with many exposing her history of school bullying during her studies in the UK. Her ex-husband also spoke out, stating that the reason for their divorce was Alexis's arrogant and domineering behavior, even going so far as to incite their child to verbally abuse him. Alexis faced online harassment, with people throwing eggs at her whenever she appeared in public. Her family's ready-to-wear business was also caught in the storm of public opinion, teetering on the brink of collapse. After that, I stopped paying attention to how they were doing. I made a height growth record at home, watching my daughter grow day by day. I just feel that our tomorrow will be better. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.